Hola Madridistas, another eventful night. Well, I should say uneventful until probably the second half. But in my opinion, it's the worst performance of the season so far. And I was hoping that probably a loss might wake us up, but destiny and fate had another things in mind. So it didn't exactly go to plan. Rudiger probably he deserved a goal more than anybody else on the pitch. So happy for him. But apart from that, shambolic of a performance, and this is not looking good, especially ahead of El Clasico. And I hope, you know, our boys wake up ASAP.
You can see my name.
So it's good to go. Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. Um, Doom and gloom continues. On the paper, it should have been a day where we rest some of our prominent personalities and kind of get the job done, get back on the plane, and get ready for the Clasico. But it all fell apart pretty quickly. Signs were there. Signs were there. And honestly, I would like to call out the Hazard fanboys also in this very, unfortunate uh, period in our season. This lull came at a point where it was least necessary, especially in a month where it was crunch game after crunch game. But I'll come to you, Javier, first. Your thoughts?
Like you said, Sonny, this was probably our worst game, but not in terms of bad plays and so because of the lack of the intensity that we said earlier in the game against Getafe, against Shakhtar, and against Osasuna was the same. The lack of uh, performance individual, no one wants to play these games apparently. Only Rudiger in the last 10 minutes, some of Nacho, because I said it all the time, Nacho, it's always a good player for me, but they just want to the game be over before it starts, and that's a mindset that I don't like and I don't understand it. They are not tired. There's the first half of the season. There's not World Cup yet, and there's no reason why they don't like to play this kind of games. I can understand for the Shakhtar point of view that they have a lot of concerns offside the pitch, and they want to play. And uh, out of respect, maybe just for the respect for the institution of Shakhtar, maybe we should outperform and play a little better.
Honestly, I completely agree with everything that you said, especially the second half up until the goal, and large periods of the first half as well. Like it almost seemed like we gave no respect to the occasion to Shakhtar and the thousands of Real Madrid fans who were actually present in. If I'm not mistaken, it was in Poland, right? The match was in Poland.
Yeah, I was in Warsaw.
Yeah, it's such a shame that like all these people come up with such expectation and our team just looks lethargic. They run out of ideas, and in my opinion, like I was screaming, like look how much we are dependent on Vinny, and then Vinny comes on, he just gets sucked into that kind of
It's like that dynamic.
Yeah, like it was a constant passing around of negative energy between the players. I think this is not on Carlo, because there's only so much he can do to motivate them up for a game, albeit a meaningless game against Shakhtar. Like the group is kind of secured. If we lost today, yeah, it would be a slight concern, but we drew. So it is the performance that is the most worrying issue, isn't it, Doris? Like, how did you feel about our team tonight?
Uh, the first half I was definitely not impressed. The team tried, and it wasn't for the lack of intensity. It was just that even though the team was trying, nothing was really happening. Like in
Mm,
the entire game, I think we had like maybe 7 shots on goal. Even though it felt like we had more, we actually didn't really do much, and
yeah.
only a couple of those chances were actually dangerous. Uh, Rudiger's header before he scored was really close,
Yeah.
and if he had scored that, maybe the injury wouldn't have happened.
Mm,
And I think the one of the biggest things that we're gonna take away from this game is Rudiger's injury. But also that's a good time for Nacho to come in. I've always loved Nacho, and tonight he was one of our best players, if not the best players on the player on the pitch, for me at least.
mm. Yeah. Nacho and Rudiger, like at least from tonight's game, and a few times they have actually been paired up together at center back. They have been exceptional. And tonight, actually, maybe a few people can stake a claim that probably that is our best center back partnership. It looks the most balanced. It looks the most cohesive and least prone to errors. But sadly, the goal is, in my opinion, is solely on Mendy. I don't know how you can completely misjudge the flight of a ball.
He didn't even try. That's the worst
He
part
tried. He
about it.
tried. To be fair to him, in
He
my opinion, he tried, but it was such a
he didn't even jump. He was barely on his toes for it. That's not a
yeah.
try. You have to do better than
It
that.
is. It is. In my opinion, it is more down to the lack of awareness. Like, where is the man you're trying to mark? Right. Like, I've no idea what was going on through Mendy's mind at that moment in time, but it looked very bad. It looked as if like he had no clue what the goal scorer Zubkov, if I'm not mistaken, was doing. He's literally scored a goal last week against us. Like it was a much better goal than today, but he would gladly take it. Like at that point, Shakhtar was on the rise, and they looked like prime Barca. We made them look like prime Barcelona going into the Clasico. I mean, it was a shambles. Javier, any thoughts on how we conceded?
Where do I start? It's just the whole defense
Yeah.
was out of position.
Mm,
You know, it was a good triangulation in their left side. Uh, Lucas Vasquez, once again, he's not a defender, so he was outperformed really, really fast. And then Nacho goes to that coverage,
mm,
and Rudiger does the what he needs to do to go to the first post. And like you said, I think it's if 90% an error for Mendy and 10% of the other defenses, because like Doris said, it wasn't that much of a strong cross. It was like just a regular center,
yeah.
and Mendy was completely lost because he didn't go for the second post.
Mm,
Uh, he was completely unaware that he has an attacker. Maybe Lunin could said something, but it's like a bad technique. You know, he jumps, but he jumped like I don't know, like 5 centimeters, and he needs to jump 10 because wasn't that high ball. So So I think it was a Mendy's error, not uh, maybe the first one that I saw him committed in the aerial part.
Mm.
He usually doesn't have to cover that kind of balls. I don't remember as many errors or key moments for him. But like I said, it was an outperform from the defense. And once again, we cannot keep a clean sheet. I don't know why. It's it's
We are
it's
just
it's worrying every game more than the last because every single game we consider an easier goal than the
yeah.
last. So against Barcelona, this kind of errors is a sure goal, but the other plays will be a goal as well. So we should be worried. Just like Doris said, I think Rudiger is out at least for the Clásico, but I think either way we'll start with Alaba and Militao,
Okay.
but having Rudiger for in the substitution, it's always a good sign, and I don't see him recovering from the Clásico. Maybe he put a mask and something like that, but I don't see him risking that in 4 days.
Mm. I totally understand, the you like when you said, like, with each passing game, it seems like we concede, an easier goal every time. Like it is not the best of time to be sloppy. Like, I can totally understand the international break and the fixture congestion completely throws off any sort of cohesion we have slowly started to build from the beginning of last this season. We should also not forget that although this is the Champions League winning side, I mean, Chouameni and Rudiger have been kind of two new pieces to the system, and especially Chouameni being there, being the holding midfielder. Um, it always required consistency to be playing at the very best, and all this congestion in the fixture schedule hasn't helped. It sort of kills all the synergy and all the good chemistry that we are trying to build. It just blows it out of the water. So in my opinion, you can't even blame Carlo. He made 5 substitutions, before the 70th minute. That's how pissed the man was. I felt sorry for him. Usually, last season, I used to, like, pull my hair out thinking, why is he not bringing on anyone, like anybody? But tonight, he tried to kind of change the course of the game. But we'll get into that. Um, Firstly, we should talk through the 11 that was picked tonight. Uh, the man in goal, Lunin, who will be probably starting the Classico as well as things stand. Um, he had an okay game, but the defense, like usual, doesn't do our goalkeepers any favors, right? Like, I mean, he could have done probably a bit better, but near post is by virtue a weak point for both our keepers. I feel like, Javier, like, your thoughts on Lunan?
I mean, uh, Lunin is a regular goalkeeper until this point.
Mm,
I don't see him as a start goalkeeper for a top tier team.
mm,
Like I said in a previous game, not because of lack of talent. He lacks other things like these commandants that need
yeah.
to have a goalkeeper, but he can acquire that. He starts these games just because Courtois is not fit.
Mm,
That's the only reason. So in that regard, I don't see him like a goalkeeper. Sorry, that could command the Real Madrid side for the next years. But I'm not worried because we usually don't have two top tier goalkeepers.
mm, mm.
We wouldn't, and in the past when we have them,
I think Javier is stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Javier, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you were breaking up.
Yeah, sorry, it was just a bad connection. So, as I said, I think Lunin it's a goalkeeper that could be in the same level, I think, as Diego Lopez kind of goalkeeper, but
Yeah.
never in a Castillas, Navas, or even Courtois
Mm.
level. So,
I'll tell you something. Diego Lopez is very high praise because I still remember Diego Lopez used to be making crazy saves every
nah,
week.
Diego Lopez played because Mourinho was angry with
Yeah,
his
yeah,
team.
yeah. But even Diego Lopez used to be so much better than Lunin. I mean, Diego Lopez was in a different period of his career at that
Yeah,
stage. Lunin
yeah.
has,
I don't think he's better, but he was
yeah,
in a different point of his career. He was in his side. I don't
yeah.
think we saw Lunin peak. So
Lunin has a
maybe
long way to go to kind of like he needs to be seasoned and conditioned
yeah.
far more, to
But
be, yeah.
Sonny, you said earlier that do you think it was Carlos' fault because he tries to move the team in the 60 minute? But I think either way he will make the changes in the 60 minute, and I give
Mm,
you my reason. I don't think Carlo make those changes in order to win this game. I think
mm.
Carlo
Good
make
point.
the changes in order to be to all the players to be fit for the Clásico. You know,
For sure.
it's not common that he, like you said, make changes in the first hour of the games. I don't remember any of those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Today was an exception. Yeah, that
If he
probably
wants to
explains.
improve this game,
Mm,
maybe don't rule out Hazard and Chouameni, and maybe sacrifice I don't know someone in the defense and
mm.
put another attacker. I don't think he make those changes in order to win this game. We win this game because of our center back. So it's not it's not for the changes, and I don't blame Carlo, but I don't praise him either in this game because he made the changes only for the reason that he wants all the players to be fit and nothing
But
more.
tell me what Carlo could have done.
No,
Tell
Carlo,
me, like
nothing.
in,
Carlo,
in my
nothing. It wasn't
yeah,
his fault.
nothing, because to facilitate, we are jumping from Lunin to the attack. But bear with me, yeah. To facilitate a finished, I repeat for the umpteenth time, a finished Eden Hazard, Don Carlo actually tried setting up in a sometimes a flat 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1, in which Hazard is kind of behind Benzema, or essentially the false nine, basically them switching positions. Even Rodrigo sometimes, coming onto the left side, Valverde pushed up high. Like even when like when we were actually defending, we again switched back to a 4-3-3. So he tried to actually bring in some sort of a tactical tweak to hopefully regenerate Benzema's lack of confidence, his rustiness, and also provide Hazard with a platform to actually build upon something. But those two guys, failed Carlo terribly tonight. I mean, like, I haven't seen a worse performance from a Real Madrid player in a long time. I don't understand how people can go by the slick flicks, and the quick movement sometimes of Hazard and write him off, and that he wasn't helped or he had an average game. Tell me honestly, this is a question to both of you. Yeah, honestly, tell me what does Hazard do better than anybody from the Castilla? Arribas has been having one of the performances of the season all throughout the beginning and even the latter stages of last season. I can't seem to understand why like someone like Peter Rodriguez is not being given a better chance than Eden Hazard. Surely it is a way to save our face and basically provide a reasoning for giving him such high wages and free coupons to the nearby Burger King. Like, I don't understand this thought process.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hazard, the thing with him is, well, today we expected him to play instead of Vini on the wing, but he didn't play on the wing. He played in the middle behind Benzema or in front of him, and that's not really an efficient way to get the ball to the
And
front.
you know
Because
why he can't play down the wing, right, Doris? You know why?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
He's no Vini. He's not even Asensio. He's he's pretty much, for lack of a better word, useless at this point. Because just as you said, there's nothing special about him that someone else
I'm pretty
cannot
sure,
do.
okay, this is not even a hot take. If Vasquez actually would have started somewhere on the left or right, he would have done so much better.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, he used to play in attack. He used to be
Yeah, he's a right
an
winger. That is
attacker,
very true.
so yeah, I think he would have done better there. Maybe we're just taking a piss, but still, Hazard. I wouldn't start him ever again.
Hmm.
This was just
Borderline criminal.
inexcusable.
Borderline.
But I would like to mention that it wasn't just him. Like
Yeah,
many of
even
our
Rodrigo.
players,
Very poor game. Very poor game.
Yeah,
and Feder didn't have a
Pede, I can
good
understand.
game.
He has been playing 180 minutes for his national
True,
team,
true,
playing
true.
every game with us. He looks knackered.
Mm,
He can barely breathe. I felt sorry for him. Like
that is
you
true.
don't
Yeah,
see Fede Valverde dropping 2 out of 10s, 3 out of 10s like this. Tonight it
yeah.
wasn't Fede Valverde. It wasn't El
but
Halcon. It was
but it
El
was.
Pajarito.
But I think Doris, I mean, I think it's hard for me because I'm one of the Eden Hazard defenders, and I
Mm.
and I
Strongest.
and I still think uh, somehow a savable football player, not a top tier Eden Hazard, not Chelsea Hazard, but 60 or 70% Hazard for me is better than 100% Asensio or 100% Lucas Vasquez. I think he's savable, and I also think that in the first half, or up until he's been substituted, he wasn't even the worst. I think Benzema has a worst game today.
Yeah, yeah.
Rodrigo has a worst game today, and we, like Farouk said the last game, and we praise and this kind of minutes that Hazard had, he needs to blow our minds in order to we trust him. But if he plays 60 minutes in 7 games, and then we
But
saw
there is a
Asensio
reason.
play
There is a
like, I don't
reason.
know,
Javier.
200 minutes in those same 7 games. We're not putting them in the same balance,
But
We're
Javier,
not
you should understand
comparing.
the
Okay,
reason.
but Hazard is not the only attacker that we have
No, no, no,
that
no, no.
comes
See,
on
see, see, see,
a,
see.
as a sub. Asensio had 11 goals last season, and he was a sub mostly in
But
last
my point is, he
season.
has more minutes than Hazard.
But
True,
But
Javier,
it's
but
still
tell
that you
me,
can substitute
how
in
many
the
goals does
87 minute
Eden
than
have?
in the seventh.
Seven?
Javier, I
Sorry.
think he said seven. But
They-
Javier, let me ask you something. Yeah. So why don't you think we rely upon him for big games? We know he can't do shit, bro. Trust me, he won't do shit. Like, yeah, Rodrigo and Benzema might have had worse games, but Rodrigo single-handedly almost carried us, from being the center forward when Benzema was out all these
No,
past
no,
weeks.
I can totally agree with you. I don't trust Hazard to save any game. I'm not 100% with you both. But my point is, we cannot judge them in the same scale. If today Benzema doesn't play well,
This
I
is
mean, it's good for me. I said it, and Benzema has a bad game, and moving on because he will won the Ballon d'Or in 3 weeks. But uh, if we compare them to what Hazard brings, I just want to us to be able to just put that little mark and said, yeah, but how many meals does Hazard have? I'm not saying that whenever he goes on the pitch, he deserves more. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't think any of the substitutions this season has proved Ancelotti's wrong. You know, no one. Maybe just a little, and I think we said in the last episode that I was with Doris, and we said that maybe Ceballos did some things in order to Ancelotti to question himself in order he deserves to start or not. But most of our substitutions is not a substitution to make an impact. You know,
Yeah.
it's a starting player that doesn't touch the game. You know, like whenever Modric doesn't, we think that Modric is a starter, and also Fede, you know. And whenever Ancelotti put them in the second half, I don't see them as a substitution. I saw them as a regular player that in that specific game was resting. Substitutions is Asensio. I think it's Lucas Vasquez. I think obviously Hazard, Mariano, uh, Nacho. They're the players that if we all the players are fit, they will not start a game.
Mm,
And I don't see any substitution making an impact. I don't remember any.
okay.
I don't know.
So sorry about that. Yeah.
I
Go
I
on, Doris.
think it's in the way that Eden plays. It that just doesn't fit. I agree that he's a good player. I'm not saying that he's not a good player. It's just that at this point in his career, 60% Hazard is not enough, and that's a fact. Not even 100% Asensio is enough, as you pointed out. Neither of those are okay, and uh, maybe I would understand like people always criticize Mariano, for example, but he gets even less minutes than Hazard, and people roast him. Like he he's he's basically destroyed at this point. But for Hazard, we always gave him a chance after chance after chance, even now, and th- this will not change. Ancelotti will keep playing it. I'm sure of it. Nothing will change with this game.
Well, this debate won't end. Like Eden Hazard's position, his value within our team. It'll be a debate that'll go on. I'm sure even after he moves on. I hope he moves on ASAP for his career and for our like squad depth to be much more better because clearly we can't rely on players like him. It is a
Maybe,
repeat of Bale. At
Sunny,
least.
maybe we should trade him to PSG.
Well, we'll get into that. When we are kind of towards the end of analyzing our game today. But yeah, we touched upon Lunin. Centre backs, we needn't say much. They were exceptional. Rudiger, Nacho left everything on the pitch. They were just as good as anybody. Tonight, especially Nacho, I felt like was insane. Also Rudiger, rounded off his performance with a brilliant goal. He came close, like just two or 3 minutes ago, 2 or 3 minutes before he actually scored. But um, Mendy, by his standards, again, poor performance. Vasquez did his best, but I felt like he was also at fault for the first goal, kind of. Um, the midfield, Kroos was okay. Chouameni, I'm not sure. Um, some people were actually bashing Cruz's body language. Like, I don't know what these people see in a man smiling and flicking his hair to consider taking the game lightly and such. I don't understand why people are taking up the role of mind readers in a meaningless game. Slightly meaningless game in my opinion, but Cruz gave it everything. I felt like Modric and Kamavinga also put in a shift. Any thoughts on the midfield? People, Javier,
I,
Doris.
no, I share with you the same thought. I thought Cross played a good game today
Mhm.
because he was asked to play in two positions that he doesn't usually play. In
Yeah.
the first half, we play like in a 4-4-2 rather than our classic 4-3-3. And then in the second half, when Ancelotti substitutes Chouameni, they put Cross in the center midfield, and he did well. You know, I remember a couple of plays in the left side that he goes and really effort in the mark. So I think Cross was today a good game for him. I think he knows that. I think it's not. If Ancelotti has to substitute anyone in the from the old guard, I think he knows he's the one that needs to be pointed out because Chouamini is not going out. I don't see Fede going out in a big game, and we need Modric rather than we need Cross because we need this creative and this pass distribution more so than what Cross gives. But in my opinion, this was Nacho, the MVP of our team, and second it will be Cross.
Mm. Yeah. Cruz kind of tried to hold it down. Um, the attackers, before we move into the attackers, Zaruddin Abdullahi, he says Anthony Rudiger is repeating what happened between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid 2014 Champions League final. Yeah, in a way, 95th minute. Not bad, not bad. It is a good shout. It is a good shout, but different circumstances. There was no elation, when Rudiger scored. It was sort of a relief that this nightmare was finally put to an end. But
And
I
oh
still
shit,
feel like, sorry, Doris.
and oh shit is Tony okay?
I don't
Did you
think
see
with
his face? His face was bleeding.
Yeah, yeah,
and I think for me it was a red card for the goalkeeper, because he didn't. The ball was so far out, and I think he hit Antonio with his elbow. So for me, it was a red card.
mm,
Maybe it was a lot of punishment for the goalkeeper, but a
yeah.
red card is a red card.
But it was an honest tussle for the
Yeah,
ball.
honest or not, it was a
Yeah.
clear hit in the face
Mm, yeah.
because
I
the
totally
ball
understand.
was almost like I don't know 1 meter towards the goal when the goalkeeper hit Rudiger. It was not like a close call. We all
Mm,
saw that Rudiger hits the ball and then receives the hit,
mm.
or at
Yeah.
least a yellow card because I
Fair
think
point. Fair point. Well, you know, refereeing decisions nowadays. Like if you spend too much time reflecting upon that, it's time wasted. But yeah, we have a poll ongoing. Yeah, we just told me, and 67% has voted for Cruz, 17% has voted for Rudiger, 17% for Lunin. Not bad, not bad. I'm pretty sure Nacho needs to be one of the options as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just letting Yadu know that. But yeah, thanks for voting in, people. I read like almost like 40 people watching now. If you're new here, if you like what we do, please subscribe. It goes without saying. And also, if you like our content, don't forget to like the video. It helps with the algorithm a lot. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't take much time. We would really appreciate it if you could show some support to what we do. But moving on to the attackers, by the way. I think it was the it was the weather in Warsaw that left our friend three kind of shell shocked. Benzema and Hazard had a red link chemistry, before when Hazard actually initially joined, especially we were thinking of such great fantasies of such technically excellent players, like playing basically with Professor Saviors, Cerebra inbuilt into them, and basically, expected that kind of telepathic movement and all, everything, in and around telepathy basically. But what we got tonight was League One football, in my opinion. They didn't know where to go, where to turn, which pass to expect. They were taking up similar positions. Benzema was out wide, so wide that he was almost playing like Vinny. I mean, I understand he likes to cut in from the left, but honestly, it's clear as day to see that all those fantasies are just buried. I didn't know what I was watching up until Vinicius came, and there was some sort of a structure to how we attacked. And like I mentioned before, even Vini got pulled into the mediocrity. But any thoughts on the attackers, Doris?
Uh, yeah, I agree with you about everything. It was not their game today, especially as you said, the red link from Benzema and Hazard. Um, I would also say that Rodrigo didn't really link up that, but I mean, we are expected to see the link up same as with Vinny, and it's just it's not the same. And even when we have both on the pitch, we always see Benzema going for Vinny because they just know what to
Mm,
do. Well, Rodrigo can replicate some of those things, but it's not the same. And Hazard, while he does flicks and tries to get the ball, he as himself is not a threat. Sorry, in
mm,
front of the goal. Like I, at no point do I expect him to shoot, even though he should. And we need someone like him who knows how to do that. He's been doing that his whole life. I don't know why he's so scared of the ball right now. It feels like he wants to get the ball away from himself instead of doing something with it. And I think like the biggest part of our attack today was Hazard and him being on for so long.
like one thing that stood out that you mentioned was him being allergic to the ball. Hazard used to be the ball magnet, the ball
Yeah,
hogger. you know
exactly.
so that's the thing. All we see is a guy who is basically a ghost of his former self. It is not easy to sit through. Honestly, I have no idea how especially our hierarchy and even the managers watch this guy on the pitch. Like you could only feel so much sorry for the person before you actually relieve him of his misery, because he has so much expectation about himself. His teammates has so much expectation about him as well. I saw him when he actually was going back to the bench. He sat beside Militao, and Militao had a deadpan face. Obviously, the circumstances weren't right. We were losing, um, and all that. But still, it is just beyond frustrating at this point. I don't want to talk about this, but I still keep getting pulled into this conversation every now and then. But yeah, Benzema, I've I have no idea what I saw. I've been kind of trying to defend him that he has been rusty, which is a fact, which was a fact even tonight. But even a half fit, not even a half fit, even a 20% fit, Benzema finishes some of the chances he got tonight. Like I don't, it's honestly concerning. Like some of the comments that I was reading, especially on Twitter, that this reminds them of Benzema from 2012 to 2018. Seems harsh, but it is the hyperbole that happens when Real Madrid don't win. When we don't win, it is a big occasion. And honestly, all this scrutiny, like I kind of feel bad for Kareem, because I was a staunch believer that last season was an exception. Benzema surely at his age and with the burden he has on his shoulders, being main captain, this season, it wouldn't be sustainable. Like more or less would get a knock, like someday, and we would be forced to rely upon our youngsters or a finished Eden Hazard, or even worse, Mariano. So this was always coming. And like people used to ask me like why we needed Haaland when we had world class Benzema in pure uh, like hot streak, like a hot red form. Like, but now you clearly see that like if you added much more firepower to our striking line, we wouldn't be having days like this. I seriously hope he regains his mojo in the Clasico. I'm pretty sure even if it's a scuffed shot, if he gets a scrappy goal, that would do like a whole lot to his confidence against Barcelona. But at this point, I'm hoping the signs are very, very concerning. Javier, like, any thoughts on Benzema?
Yeah, like you said, I think what Karim's having this season, I don't compare with the, I don't know, um, when he was a partnership with the Cristiano and Bale era, because I think Benzema is a different player now. But he needs to understand that he has already won the Ballon d'Or. You know, he needs to put the last season behind him and understand that this season, uh, what he needs to do is not the same that he needs that he used or do the last season. Sorry. So I think Karim is not lack of motivation. It's not the lack of capability. It's just that he needs to understand that, like you said, he needs to chill and understand what the game needs. And this game, uh, he doesn't need to go to the Bini side, and he doesn't need to go to the Rodrigo side. And in this game, he needs to go in the center forward. You know, in the first half, they create two chances back to back between Rodrigo, Benzema, and Hazard, and Benzema shoots one of them. You know that, like you said, in the last season, it was a sure goal, but those kind of movements was the ones that the game required from Karim today.
Mm.
So in that regard, I think he's gonna start the Clásico, and Rodrigo and Vini will help him to get to his level. You know,
Mm.
last season Benzema improved Vini and improved Rodrigo. This season, I think Vini, but more so Rodrigo, will help Karim to get to this game. And it's okay. We are a team. We play as a team. You know, it doesn't mind that Rodrigo is 21 and Karim is 34. We need that Rodrigo and Vini to say like, "Hey, Karim, don't worry. You are a captain and you are a star. Don't worry. We'll create those chances for you. We only need that you go to those spaces." You know, last season he creates them space and then puts and just like, "Hey, Vini, just give me the ball and I will do magic," right? Or say like, "Hey, Vini, do this and I will do that." This season it's a different season, but I think he will recover his final form, and even more in the Clásico. I think the Clásico is a really good motivation. It's in the Santiago Bernabeu, and all the cards are in our favor. You know, so I hope Karim gets a good result. And like I said, the last game for Militao, welcome to the 22-23 season. I think it's time from Karim to get to this season. It's not worrying, but it started to get a little suspicious, you know?
Mm.
Just because I want him to succeed in our
It
team,
like
also
it,
with the French
like
national.
there is a huge outcry that last season was a purple patch and won't be repeated. Like honestly, like with every passing week, even I'm kind of getting pulled into that mind frame. Like even when my heart tells me that it is not the case, that Benzema is the Ballon d'Or winner. He's surely the Ballon d'Or winner, and he has a point to prove to keep up that level. And hopefully, with him getting consistent, game time from now on, and like getting into some sort of a rhythm. And like you rightly pointed out, that the youngsters it is their time to kind of repay what he did last season. And I hope, that there'll be a better turn of events soon. But we need to kind of wrap it up in under 10 minutes, unfortunately. But before we do, there was a comment by Adil bin Wahab. He said, extremely lethargic performance from all our players except for Tony and Rudy. Totally agree with it. The lack of off the ball movement from our midfielders and attackers, completely unacceptable. Absolutely. I mean, there was some sort of movement between Hazard, Rodrigo, and Benzema, but the movement was basically them getting in each other's way. So it was it was all just counterintuitive, in my opinion. But not just the movement, the pressing was very poor. Like, I don't know, probably it is basically jet lag, or the atmosphere in Warsaw. I don't know. It not being such a crucial match, there could be a multitude of reasons, but at this point, I have no idea, honestly. But yeah, it could have been better, so much more better, especially ahead of El Clasico at home. Our social won't be one bit pleased if the performance is similar to what we saw, these past three games on Sunday. That's for sure. And I hoped today would be a wake up call. I never want my team to lose, but I thought probably losing would open their eyes up. But it somehow feels like slightly a moral boosting kind of equalizer in a way. Even though it was a shambolic performance, like I'm pretty sure our team would take positives from tonight. Um, any final thoughts on the games, boys? Nothing.
I'm not a boy, so I'm not responding to that. I'm kidding. Uh, Shambolic game, but we'll get over it. It's a Champions League. If this was the league, I would probably be pissed. But since it's group stage, it's all right, I guess. And if it had to happen, I'm glad it's now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
one thing I just like for Militao yellow card. Like, come on, man, why? That was so unnecessary. So unnecessary from the
And I,
bench.
I, I, I understand what he said, and should be a red card if they use the VR and something like that, because he insulted the referee in Spanish and said a very strong word.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I
When
saw
was
the I saw it after he was given
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
he said, but
when did it
what did
occur?
he
Like at
say
full time?
before that? What did he say to deserve the yellow
He
card?
said twice. He said like,
I said twice. I didn't see
NSFW,
what
please,
happened.
boys. Yeah. Okay. But
and
um,
just to wrap it up, I think Sonny Doris, I almost certain that this is the we tied the best start for our team in our history, regarding the victories, and we're undefeated. So
Definitely,
if we go to the Clasico and go still undefeated, will be our best start ever.
definitely,
So and like you said a lot of times before, Sonny, we're an entitled team, and we ask them to outperform themselves every single game. Today, my reason was neither of them, no one of the Real Madrid players or Real Madrid as an institution wants to play this game.
yeah,
They show up just to not get fined. But if the UEFA asks Real Madrid, "Do you want to lose and no go to Warsaw?" They will say yes.
yeah. This probably we would have chosen
yeah,
this game to be the one to lose, but yeah, could have been so much better. But look out for the El Clasico preview we will be doing with the Forza Barca podcast on Thursday. We'll be putting up the links at least a day before, so we look forward to seeing you all there. And we had a poll, feelings about El Clasico, and let me read out the results. 57% said easy win, right? 29% said tight game, might draw. Nervous, so nervous was 0%. It's not looking good was 14%. So mixed feelings, rightfully so, before El Clasico. But I'm pretty sure our team will turn up like they usually do. But one final question before we kind of wrap this up. Yeah, one word answer. Would you take Mbappe in January or next summer? Doris,
No.
Javier,
No.
yes, yes. Okay. Well, we gotta be shameless, to a certain extent. It's football, we gotta flip flop. But I would not disclose my answer yet. I'll wait because my heart needs to heal and think again. But
That's
This
not
is
fair.
not like
You
just
put
for
us on the spot.
Madrid.
sorry, Doris.
I feel like it, in my
3 more minutes. We
opinion,
have
like
3 minutes.
I
Yeah,
know, in my opinion, it's not like that. This is Madrid, and that's why you shouldn't do what Mbappe did.
yeah,
I s- I would say the same for any club in the world, because there are clubs that need certain players and they
yeah.
really want one player, but he
Mm,
just won't give in. It's the
mm,
same for him. He might be really, really good, but
mm,
at the same time, like there are other players, and he might be really, really good somewhere else. But
mm.
what's the point if you don't have integrity? If you don't have principles in your club,
Absolutely,
what's the point?
absolutely. He should
What's the
have
point?
principles as a human. Well,
It's
Qataris
not
don't have
about
principles.
Real Madrid. I would say this for any club in the world.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. But yeah, before we kind of wrap this up, check out Memento Madridismo. They are collaborators on Reines Blancas podcast where we cover everything Feminino. Also, check out Real Madrid Committee, our partners on Instagram. Check them both out. Links in the description, people. Before we go, one final request to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us kind of build up on what we have been doing for over a year. Your support means everything. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in on kind of a mellow night, but onwards and upwards.